Good day, class. We will now tackle FRIA, or the Financial Rehabilitation and Insolvency Act of 2010. This is also what we call RA number 10142. In situations where a debtor can no longer pay debts to multiple creditors, the ordinary legal processes for debt collection become inefficient and unfair, di ba? Both debtors and the creditors are now placed at a disadvantage. Kay, sa pa man mo pag-collect if wala na gani siya mabayad, di ba? So now, debtors lose all means to recover or rebuild, while the creditors compete against one another, wasting time and resources to claim whatever is left of the debtor's assets. Kaning FRIA, the Financial Rehabilitation and Insolvency Act was enacted to address these challenges. So it provides a structured and equitable framework for resolving the financial distress of debtors while balancing the rights of creditors. Now, we will endeavor to discuss the key mechanisms under FRIA that aim to give honest but financially distressed debtors a second chance, and the creditors a more orderly and efficient recovery process. So in our discussion, we will be talking about rehabilitation, suspension of payments, and if di na gyud makaya no sa debtor, the liquidation. Okay? So the proceedings no in the FRIA, under FRIA no, rehabilitation proceedings may include the voluntary rehabilitation, involuntary rehabilitation, the petition for approval of pre-negotiated rehabilitation. And then if di gud madag rehabilitation, the debtor may also file for a petition for suspension of payments, and he could also file for a voluntary liquidation. This could also apply for partnerships or corporations. Also, involuntary liquidation, voluntary liquidation of individual debtor, and involuntary liquidation of individual debtor. Okay? So, insolvency, rehabilitation, and liquidation are now governed by RA number 10142, otherwise known as FRIA, FRIA for short. Okay? FRIA lapsed into law on July 18, 2010, and the FRIA expressly repealed the Insolvency Law, or Act number 1956, that was passed way back 1909. However, FRIA did not repeal and even adopts the rules on concurrence and preference of credits under the new Civil Code. So take a look at those provisions no, on concurrence and preference of credits. I have a separate discussion on that, and I will be forwarding it to you also. So, Supreme Court Administrative Matter number 12-11-SC, entitled FRIA Rules of Procedure, implements the provisions of FRIA on rehabilitation. Okay, sa rehabilitation. On the other hand, the statutory rules on liquidation and suspension of payments are implemented in Supreme Court Administrative Matter number 150406 SC, entitled Financial Liquidation and Suspension of Payment Rules of Procedure for Insolvent Debtors. All right? Now, kanus aman ta makaingon nga ang usa ka debtor insolvent, ha? When can we say that a debtor is now an insolvent debtor? Insolvent debtor shall refer to the insolvent debtor shall refer to the financial condition of a debtor that is generally unable to pay its or his liabilities as they fall due on the ordinary course of business, or has liabilities that are greater than its own assets. Okay? So, kani nga mga liabilities, they shall refer to the monetary liabilities against the debtor, including stockholders' advances that have been recorded in the debtor's audited financial statements as advances for future subscriptions, kaning ordinary course of business, or ordinary course of business shall also refer to transactions in the pursuit of individual debtors or debtors' business operations prior to rehabilitation or insolvency proceedings and on ordinary business terms. Insolvency, therefore, shall refer to the financial incapacity of the debtors to pay their liabilities as they fall due in the ordinary course of business or whenever their liabilities are greater than their assets. So klaro kaayo ha, tanawa ang phrase ha, di na sila kabayad sa ilang liabilities in the ordinary course of business. Or ang ilang liabilities mas taas pa kaysa ilahang assets. So that is what we call insolvency. And if the debtor is in that kind of situation, he is called now or they are called now insolvent debtor. Okay? So ang sole proprietorship, ang partnership or corporation, no, if they are facing financial difficulty, pero ang mga owners or ang shareholders believe that it can still recover, the business can opt for rehabilitation instead of the immediate dissolution. Okay? So, unsa man day pasabutan ng rehabilitation? Rehabilitation, guys, refers to the process of restoring a business to a stable and profitable condition. So this can be done no if it is shown that continuing the business is financially feasible and will allow creditors to recover more in the long run through a rehabilitation plan rather than if the business were to be liquidated right away. So matanaw sa mga tag-iya, kaya pa man na to nga i-revive. So let's try to apply for a rehabilitation. So rehabilitation, guys, involves efforts to keep the business operating while working to return it to financial health. The goal here is to minimize the business costs during the rehabilitation period, providing a structure that will allow it to gradually recover and become sustainable again. In a rehabilitation proceeding, ang korte ani need not distinguish whether the claim has already matured or not. Okay? What is really essential in the case of rehabilitation is the inability of the debtor corporation to pay its debts as they fall due. So it was further explained no that FRIA does not make any distinction between a corporation which is already in debt and a corporation which foresees the possibility of debt, or which would eventually yet surely fall into the same but may at present be free from any financial liability. Okay? So as you can see here, no, in the slides, the FRIA actually provides for a different types of rehabilitation proceedings for sole proprietorships, for partnerships, and corporations. So kani, the court supervised rehabilitation includes the voluntary proceedings. We also have the involuntary proceedings. Okay? So sa voluntary proceedings, no, ang rehabilitation petition dire is initiated by the sole proprietor, or kung partnership na siya by the majority of the partners, or kung corporation na siya by the majority of the board of directors and authorized by the corporation stockholders representing at least two-thirds of the outstanding capital stock or two-thirds of the members kung non-stock na siya. Okay? Again ha, balik, ang voluntary proceedings ma-happen ni kung ang mo initiate mismo kay ang debtor. Okay? So, kung sole proprietorship, the sole proprietor, kung partnership, majority of the partners, kung corporation, unsa to? Kung corporation, kung stock corporation, majority of the members of the board, kung non-stock corporation, majority of the members of the board of trustees, and it has to be authorized by the corporation stockholders, ang two-third ana sa outstanding capital or two-third of the members for non-stock corporations. Okay? I hope klaro na ha, that's for voluntary proceedings. For involuntary proceedings, no, ang rehabilitation petition here, ang nag-initiate are the creditors. Okay? The creditors with an aggregate claim of at least 1 million or at least 25% of the subscribed capital stock or partners' contributions, whichever is higher. So, the pre-negotiated rehabilitation is initiated by the insolvent debtor by itself or jointly with or any of its creditors and seeks the approval of a pre-negotiated rehabilitation plan endorsed and approved by creditors holding at least two-thirds of the debtor's total liability, including the secured creditors holding more than 50% of the secured claims and unsecured creditors holding more than 50% of the unsecured claims. Okay? Naapoy out of court or informal restructuring agreements or rehabilitation plan. Kanatong gisgutan katuman ning ipa-aprobar nato sa court, di ba? It's a court supervised rehabilitation plan. But we also have the so-called out of court rehabilitation. And this must be agreed upon by the debtor and approved by the creditors holding at least 85% of the debtor's total liabilities, including the secured creditors holding of at least 67% of the secured obligations and unsecured creditors holding at least 75% of the unsecured obligations. Okay? A a a liquidator or a rehabilitation receiver may be a juridical person provided that it designates a representative, a natural person who possesses all the qualifications and none of the disqualifications. The juridical entity and the representative are solidarily liable of all the obligations and responsibilities of a liquidator or a rehabilitation receiver. Okay? Let's look at this graph or summary, okay, of what we have discussed earlier. So, Monino, for types of rehabilitation proceeding, ang sole proprietor can file for a voluntary rehabilitation. For partnership, majority of the partners. For a corporation, for voluntary rehabilitation, majority sa directors or trustees, niya ang stockholders representing two-thirds, or for non-stock ang mga members, two-thirds pod. For sole proprietorship, partnership, and corporation, for an involuntary rehabilitation, ang rule is that ang creditors or group of creditors o ang ilang claim kay aggregate of 1 million or at least 25% of the subscribed capital stock of the partner's contribution, whichever is higher, mao'y requirement in order for it to be to file a petition. For a pre-negotiated rehabilitation plan, mao ni two-thirds and 50% total secured claims. For voluntary liquidation, for insolvent debt, for sole proprietorship, partnership, and corporation, ang mo file ana is the insolvent debtor. Okay? For sole proprietorship, partnership, and corporation for involuntary liquidation, the ones who will file this would be three or more creditors. And ang ilang aggregate claim is 1 million or at least 25% of the subscribed capital stock or partner's contribution of debtor, whichever is higher. Okay? Take note of those, ha? Okay. So naka-decide na mo na you will now apply for a rehabilitation. So kailangan when you file for a rehabilitation, you have to present a rehabilitation plan. Okay? So ang rehabilitation plan may include various means to restore the financial well-being and viability of an insolvent debtor. This would include but not limited to the debt forgiveness, the debt rescheduling, reorganization or quasi-reorganization, the shonin pago, debt to equity conversion, the sale of business or parts of it as a going concern or setting up of a new business entity or other similar arrangements as may be approved by the rehabilitation court or creditors. Now, the FRIA, however, does not specify limitations on the scope of these means as the amount or the percentage of debt that may be forgiven or the maximum period of time when the debts may be rescheduled. Now, under Section 64, under Section 64, it provides that the rehabilitation receiver shall notify the creditors and stakeholders that the plan is ready for their examination. So within 20 days from the said notification, the rehabilitation receiver shall convene the creditors either as a whole or per class for purposes of voting on the approval of the plan. The plan shall be deemed rejected unless approved by all classes of creditors whose rights are adversely modified or affected by the plan. For purposes of this section, the plan is deemed to have been approved by a class of creditors if members of the said class holding more than 50% of the total claims of the said class vote in favor of the plan. So the votes of the creditors shall be based solely on the amount of their respective claims based on the registry of claims submitted by the rehabilitation receiver. Okay? So in the rehabilitation, there has to be an appointment of a rehabilitation receiver. Si rehabilitation receiver na may bahala mo set up sa plan and then inform the creditors, ask the creditors to register their claims. Okay? So notwithstanding the rejection of the rehabilitation plan, the court may confirm the rehabilitation plan if all of the following circumstances are present. So if the rehabilitation plan complies with the requirements specified in this act, if the rehabilitation receiver recommends the confirmation of the rehabilitation plan, the shareholders, the owners of the partners of the juridical debtor lose at least their controlling interest as the result of the rehabilitation plan, and the rehabilitation plan would likely provide the objecting class of creditors with compensation which has a net present value greater than that which they could have received if the debtor were under liquidation. So these are the elements or the circumstances that must be satisfied, no, by the rehabilitation receiver, no, in order for the rehabilitation plan to be approved by the court, notwithstanding the rejection of the creditors, no, of the submitted rehabilitation plan. So ang rehabilitation plan, no, it must be approved, mo na ang rule, 'di ba? Mo na ang rule. It must be approved by the creditors representing 50% of the claims. Unya i-confirm na siya sa court after approval by the creditors. Or even without the approval of the creditors, kaya na may ubang creditor, di na magsilbi ana. So even if the creditors would not approve or even over the objections of the creditors, pwede na i-kumpirmar sa court. Okay? Mao ning gitawag nato nga kaning pag-confirm sa court even over the objection of the creditors. This is what we call the cram down power. Okay? So if the creditors do not approve the rehabilitation plan, the court may still approve the plan and its implementation. In other words, no, if the plan is rejected by the creditors, the rehabilitation court may still confirm the rehabilitation plan, subject to the requirements that we mentioned earlier. Okay? So, kaning nga power to override the creditor's disapproval of the rehabilitation plan refers to the rehabilitation court's cram down power. Okay? So, cram down power, it's actually the rehabilitation court's power to override the creditor's rejection or disapproval of the rehabilitation plan. Ha? Timan ninyo ha, that's the cram down power. So, unsa may, baw na taon sa cram down power, unsa mang cram down rule. So, the cram down rule provides that the rehabilitation plan confirmed by the court shall be binding upon the debtor and all persons who may be affected by it, including the creditors, whether or not such persons have participated in the proceedings or opposed the plan, or whether or not their claims have been scheduled. Okay? The Supreme Court, no, explained in one case, ayun na Supreme Court, among other rules that foster the foregoing policies, Section 23 of the Interim Rules of Procedure on Corporate Rehabilitation states that a rehabilitation plan may be approved even over the opposition of the creditors holding a majority of the corporation's total liabilities. If there is a showing daw that the rehabilitation is feasible and the opposition of the creditors is manifestly unreasonable. Further, according to the Supreme Court, also known as the cram down clause, this provision in the Supreme Court, which is currently incorporated in the FRIA, is necessary daw to curb the majority creditors' natural tendency to dictate their own terms and conditions to the rehabilitation, absent due regard to the greater long-term benefit of all stakeholders. Otherwise stated, it forces the creditors to accept the terms and conditions of the rehabilitation plan, preferring long-term viability over immediate but incomplete recovery. Okay? Now, ang FRIA provides that after a petition is sufficient or found to be sufficient in form and substance, the rehabilitation court will now issue a commencement order to signify the beginning of the rehabilitation proceedings. Okay? Ang Section 15 of the FRIA provides that if the court daw finds the petition for rehabilitation to be sufficient in form and substance, it shall within 5 working days from the filing of the petition issue a commencement order. If within the same period the court finds the petition deficient in form or substance, the court may, in its discretion, give the petitioner or the petitioners a reasonable period of time within which to amend or supplement the petition, or to submit such documents as may be necessary or proper to put the petition in proper order. In such a case, the 5 working days provided in the law for the issuance of the commencement order shall be reckoned now from the date of the filing of the amended or supplemental petition or the submission of such documents. Also note, no, nga the contents and the effects of the commencement order are those enumerated in your section 16 and 17 of the FRIA. Okay? So take a look of the contents under section 16 and the effects of the commencement order in section 17. Okay? Also note that the FRIA provides that the effects of the commencement order shall be reckoned from the date of the filing of the petition for corporate rehabilitation, whether it be voluntary or involuntary. Okay? So it is considered now, no, that the effectivity of the commencement order is the date of the filing of the petition for a corporate rehabilitation. Okay? I mentioned earlier, 'di ba, na when there is a rehabilitation, the court will initially appoint the rehabilitation receiver, who may not be from among the nominees of the petitioner. Pwede man na. However, at the initial hearing of the petition, the creditors and the debtor who are not petitioners may nominate other persons to the position. So the court may retain the rehabilitation receiver initially appointed, or pwede sad mo appoint another receiver who may or may not be from among those nominated. So in case the debtor is a securities market participant, the court shall give priority to the nominee of the appropriate securities or investor protected fund. So dapat aligned sad ang iyahang background to the particular business. Okay? That's what is important because the goal of the rehabilitation plan is actually to rehabilitate precisely, di ba? The financial capacity of a particular business or entity. Kung dili well-versed ang tao nga imong i-assign diha as a receiver, ate kay ang yun na ang negosyo imbes ma-rehabilitate, mugo na hinuon ngadto sa liquidation, which would be an awful effect of the rehabilitation proceedings, di ba? So take a look at that also, okay? Okay, now you have an overview of what the rehabilitation is, 'di ba? To recap, no, 'di ba, ang purpose gid sa rehabilitation is to actually restore the debtor to a condition of viability so it can continue as a going concern. And this is initiated, no, when the debtor is financially distressed, but economically viable gyapon siya. Okay? Ang outcome ani is the continuation of a business operations under a court-approved rehabilitation plan. And this is usually, as mentioned earlier, this is usually managed by a rehabilitation receiver who is appointed, 'di ba, by the court or based on the nominees or based on the nominee submitted by the petitioner of the rehabilitation. But the management may be retained under supervision. Nya ang effect ani, it would stay the enforcement of the claims, walay foreclosure, walay execution or collection during the effectivity of the rehabilitation, and then um its effect on contracts, ang debtor may actually request rescission or continuation of contracts as needed for rehabilitation. And the debtor's legal personality remains intact because the end goal here is survival and revival of the business to pay the creditors better than in liquidation. Okay? Pero kung di na gyud makaya, no, ang may tabo is you go to liquidation. The aim here is to end the business, okay? To wind up the debtor's affairs and sell its assets for distribution to creditors, okay? This is usually initiated by the debtor who is insolvent and not viable for rehabilitation. Ang outcome ani would be ang assets are sold and proceeds are distributed in accordance with the priorities provided for in our concurrence and preference of credits. And the one who manages the process would be a liquidator that is appointed to take over and dispose of the assets. Okay? Nya ang mga claims will now be submitted to the liquidator pending actions. Okay? Um, and all other claims would actually be suspended, no, while the liquidation is ongoing, at it would be now managed by the liquidator. And if after the liquidation process, no, the personality of the debtor now, the legal personality of the debtor now would be deemed dissolved upon the issuance of the liquidation order. The goal here is the orderly distribution of assets and termination of the business entity. So basically, the key distinction between a rehabilitation and a liquidation is that in a rehabilitation, you revive the business if viable pa siya to continue. Okay? In liquidation, you shut it down, you wind up the operation and distribute assets if wala na gyud hope to recover. Okay? So mo na ang distinction. So when we talk about liquidation, no, the court that has jurisdiction over the liquidation proceedings shall in proper cases issue a liquidation order which includes among others the among other matters declaring that the debtor is insolvent. So sa liquidation court ang maingon ana, then ordering the liquidation of the debtor, and in case of a juridical person declaring it as dissolved, and then prohibiting payments and transfer of properties by the debtor, and directing all claims to be filed with the liquidator. So ang contents sa liquidation order are provided for in section 112 of FRIA. Okay? So kindly browse through it ha para makahibaw mo ba. Pero basically sa liquidation mo cease ng operation. Nya what the creditors would do is to submit their claims to the liquidator. Para si liquidator na ang bahala mo distribute sa assets sa insolvent debtor in accordance, of course, with the provisions of the concurrence and preference of credits. Now, unsa to'y mahimong effect sa liquidation order? The effect would be the juridical debtor shall be deemed dissolved and its corporate or juridical existence terminated. The legal title to and control of all the assets of the debtor, except those that may be exempt from execution, shall be deemed vested in the liquidator pending his election or appointment with the court. All contracts of the debtor shall be deemed terminated and or breached unless the liquidator within the 90 days or within 90 days from the date of his assumption of office declares otherwise and the contracting party agrees. Also, no separate action for the collection of an unsecured claim shall be allowed. So actions already pending will be transferred to the liquidator for him to accept and settle or contest. No foreclosure proceedings shall be allowed for a period of 180 days. With respect to partnerships, however, the rule is that the dissolution of the partnership does not by itself discharge existing liability of any partner. It should be recalled that all partners, including industrial partners, shall be liable pro rata, the binary partnership, with all their properties and after all partnership assets have been exhausted. Hence, even if the partnership assets have been liquidated, the partners are still liable for the unpaid obligations. Okay? Nota, the liquidator will now follow the provisions of the concurrence and preference of credits in the distribution of assets. So tanaw niya kinsa ang preferred nga creditor, kinsa ang secured nga creditor, and also he will consider the properties that are exempt from execution under the law. Katong mga exempt no assets nga dili pwede gamiton during the liquidation proceedings. Okay, so kindly browse through the the provisions. And I also promise that I'll be sending you my discussion on concurrence and preference of credits. Okay? Okay. Di ba? Kay bawo na ta sa rehabilitation, liquidation, pero pwede sa DI ang suspension of payments. Okay? Ang kaning petition for suspension of payments is actually a petition that can be filed by an individual debtor who has sufficient properties to cover all his debts, but he foresees the impossibility of meeting his debts when they respectively fall due for the purpose of asking the court to order the suspension or delay of the payment of his indebtedness. Okay, this is provided for in Section 94 Hasa FRIA. Thus, if mo file na ang debtor o petition, gi-require sa court nga iyang estate nga individual debtor siya. Okay? So here the individual debtor dili pwede nga korporasyon. Okay? So it only applies to an individual debtor. And the debtor has sufficient properties to cover all his debts. The debtor foresees the impossibility of meeting his debts when they respectively fall due. And the purpose of the petition is to suspend or delay the payment of debts. Okay? So the amount of the indebtedness is not affected by the petition. The debts are neither reduced nor discharged because the sole purpose of suspension is from the word suspend. I-delay lang ang iyang pagbayad. Kay wala pa naabot ang iyang gi-expect nga kwarta nga ibayad or to cover all its debts. So muhangyo siya sa korte nga isuspend sa. Okay? So unlike the other petitions no nga gi-file diri sa PRIA like the rehabilitation or liquidation, the number of creditors in the suspension of payments is immaterial. So there's no required number of creditors before the petition for suspension of payment can be filed. Now, in your book, there a distinction between suspension of payments and liquidation. Let's take a look at it. Okay? Ang una nga distinction, ana, kay sa suspension of payments, ang debtor here is not insolvent. The debtor has sufficient assets lang to cover his liabilities. In liquidation, unsa to? In liquidation, ang debtor insolvent na. Wa na gyud, di na gyud kaya sa iyang assets nga ma-cover ang iyang liabilities, di ba? Ang suspension of payments, the payment of the obligation is only stayed. In liquidation, the obligations are discharged. Okay? In suspension of payments, this applies only to an individual debtor. Take note of that, ha? Ang liquidation on one hand covers to juridical person and individual debtors. Okay? So, pwede partnership, corporation, pwede individual. Okay? In suspension of payments, this may be filed by the debtor. The liquidation may be initiated by the debtor, pwede by the creditors. Diba? If you recall. In suspension of payments, there's no minimum amount of liabilities prescribed. In liquidation, it is required that the debt of the individual debtor is not less than 500,000 pesos. In a suspension of payments, the rules on concurrence of credits under the new civil code do not apply. Pero sa liquidation, the rules on concurrence and preference of credits will apply. Okay? Sa suspension of the distinction naman now in suspension of payments and rehabilitation are as follows. Sa suspension of payments, again, applies na siya to individual debtor. Ay, yun nagkalimti. Pero sa rehabilitation, apply siya sa tanan, business organization, single proprietorship, partnership, and corporation. Sa suspension of payments, the debtor has sufficient assets to cover its liabilities. Sa rehabilitation, the debtor here is insolvent. In suspension of payments, secured debtors are not affected. In rehabilitation, the secured debtors are affected by the stay order. Okay? The suspension of payments applies only to individual debtors. Again, balik no? But ang rehabilitation may be availed of by juridical persons. The suspension of payments, again, is filed by the debtor. Pero ang rehabilitation, like that of liquidation, may be initiated by the debtor or by the creditors. Okay? Sa suspension of payments, wala man na minimum requirement for the amount of claims. Pero sa rehabilitation, pila to? If you can still recall, pila ang amount nga kailangan ang debtor na aggregate nga utang? Dapat 1 million. Or at least, bila to? 25% of the subscribed capital stock or partner's contribution, which ever is higher. Okay? So take a look at the figures. Kindly remember the figures. Okay? Now, upon a motion filed by the individual debtor, the court may now issue an order suspending any pending execution against the individual debtor. Okay? Kung nanay suspension order, the properties held as security by secured creditors shall not be subject of such suspension order. Mao na ang difference, okay? So katong properties held as security by secured creditors, no, if you recall, katong including katong na mga security interests, they will not be a subject of suspension order. The suspension order shall lapse when 3 months shall have passed without the proposed agreement being accepted by the creditors as soon as such agreement is denied. No creditor shall sue or institute proceedings to collect his claim from the debtor from the time of the filing of the petition for suspension of payments and for as long as the proceedings remain pending. Okay? The only exceptions are as follows. Um, the 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 following creditors will not be affected by the stay order. Kinsa man na katong mga creditors having claims for personal labor. Sweldo gud na, 'di ba? Expense for last illness and funeral of the wife or children of the debtor incurred in the 60 days immediately prior to the filing of the petition. And kato atong gi-mention earlier, mga secured creditors. So katong mga nanay security interest, it will not be affected by the stay order. The payment of those will not be covered by the suspension order also. Okay? And those expected creditors are not affected by the proposed agreement with the debtor unless the same creditors participated and voted in the creditors meeting. So tan-awa diha ha ang process also. You take a look at the provisions and your codal provisions with respect to suspension orders. Okay? So, kaning individual debtor, mag-attach na siya sa iyahang petition for suspension of payments, a proposed agreement with the creditors. Okay? So, the proposed agreement must be approved, or pwede i-reject in a creditors meeting. So the presence of the creditors holding claims amounting to at least 3/5 of the liabilities of the debtor is necessary for the meeting. So a creditor has no right to vote if he incurred his credit within 90 days prior to the filing of the petition for suspension. Ito mabag-o lang nga nautangan, dili pwede. Double majority is necessary for the approval of the proposed agreement with the creditors, meaning 2/3 of the creditors voting unitedly upon the same proportion, and the claims represented by the said majority vote amount to at least 3/5 of the total liabilities of the debtor mentioned in the petition. So duha ka votes ang kailangan i-secure. Dapat 2/3 sa creditors. Unya kanang 2/3 dapat nag-represent na sila sa 3/5 of the total liability. Okay? Now, what if i-disapprove sa creditors ang proposed agreement nga gi-submit ni individual debtor? So if there's no approval of the double majority, the suspension of the payment proceedings will be terminated, and the creditors shall be at liberty to enforce the rights that correspond to them. So kaning suspension of payments, dili pod ni ingon nga unilateral ang decision. Di pwede nga feel lang ni individual debtor, di pa ako kabayad, pwede ako sa ning stay order, magpa-stay orders ako, magpa-suspension of payments ako. Dili. It has to be agreed by the creditors. Okay? So kung dili mo agree ang creditors ana or di ka kakuha sa katong double majority, the suspension of payments proceedings will now be terminated. Okay? Di man niha? So unsa tong double majority required, dapat na 2/3 sa creditors voting unite upon the same proposition. Unya kanang 2/3 dapat nag-represent sa 3/5 of the total liabilities. Okay? So take a note of this ha. Timanin na ninyong mga distinction. Again, ang pinaka-highlight aning FRIA kato atong gisgutan earlier, ang rehabilitation, liquidation, ug ang suspension of payments. Again, ang suspension of payments can only be availed of by an individual debtor. Okay? I hope klaro na. Okay? Nya, I wish you luck sa inyong exams next week. Thank you.